Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. There's a couple of things I want to discuss in this video. The first is I've been wanting to do a Q&A for quite some time. We've got a number of new subscribers and the last Q&A I did was last year at some stage. I don't even remember when. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity for me to answer any questions you may have. So if you do have questions, leave them down below in the comments section. I'll also be putting the word out on Instagram. And I might be answering some questions on Instagram, some on YouTube. Last Q&A I did, I had to do 3 videos to get through all of the questions. I don't mind doing that, but I might try and spread it across Instagram and YouTube just to make it a little bit easier. And so you get your answers quicker as well, because obviously editing takes more time than just putting it on Instagram. And the other thing I wanted to discuss was just give you a little bit of an update. My last update, I think I told you that we were going to be doing an IVF cycle in Jan. That may still be happening, but it might be February. It all depends. I have made a decision to change specialists yet again. It will be, this upcoming IVF cycle will be our 4th stimulated cycle. My first 2 were with one clinic and my 3rd was with another clinic, and I was going to do my 4th with the same clinic as my last, but I've had second thoughts and have arranged to do my 4th cycle with a totally different clinic. There's a thunderstorm happening, so you might be hearing some thunder throughout this video. Hope it's not too loud. Anyway, so I have decided to go with a different clinic. Rubbish truck's back. Okay. Shh, everybody. I had an appointment a couple of months ago, I think. I can't remember when it was. It was a little bit ago. There were a few red flags and some things didn't sit right with me, and since that appointment I've tried to get some answers and reach out to my specialist and haven't heard back. And in the appointment he tried to make out that for fertilising out of 15 mature eggs, which was my last cycle fertilisation report, was good, and it's clearly not a good fertilisation report. And then he said something like, oh, well, you've got PCOS, so that's what you'd expect. And I said to him, I don't have PCOS, which made me concerned that he hadn't even looked at my file. In that same appointment, he wrote up a protocol for my 4th stimulated cycle. He didn't even bother going over that protocol with me, which bothers me. And in the appointment I had so many other things going on in my mind. I didn't even ask for him to go over it, which is stupid on my part, but it should be a given that I would want to know what he's got in mind. And so him mentioning that I have PCOS made me question whether he'd even looked at my history and my past cycles, and whether he's made decisions on my next protocol based on my past cycles, or whether he's just whipped something up, and I suspect he just whipped something up. Some of his answers to my questions seemed a little bit cocky. I know some of his patients have had success with him, and I'm not saying I won't necessarily go back to him if we decide to try and get me pregnant again. But for those of you who aren't aware, we are currently looking at going down the surrogacy road. I've had a very beautiful friend offer to be our surrogate, and that's what we're kind of looking into at the moment. So yeah, I've been trying to get an explanation as to some of his decisions for what he's chosen to give me in my protocol, and I haven't been getting any responses back. It just seems too hard. His receptionists are really rude. I had a bit of a confrontational phone call with one of them who was clearly having a bad day, but decided to tell me that I was speaking to her with tone, and I told her that I was just, you know, going off her tone because I felt like she was being rude. You don't need to be dealing with rude people when you're going through something like IVF and something as stressful as IVF. So my last specialist, the one I had before this one, was the one I did my 3rd stimulated IVF cycle with. She has left the clinic that I did that cycle with and opened up her own clinic, which has had great reviews so far. It is cheaper than any of the other clinics in Melbourne, so that's another massive bonus. So that's why we've decided to go with her. I didn't think I would go back to her as a specialist. She's the one who did my last laparoscopy surgery and found that everything was perfect, that I didn't have blocked tubes like I had been told a couple of years prior, and that everything looked perfect. And of course that news shocked me at first, because I was under the impression for the last couple of years that my tubes were blocked. And so to find out that wasn't the case was a bit surprising. Hopefully she'll be able to make this 4th IVF cycle a success. My other concern with the clinic I did my 3rd stimulated cycle with was the low fertilization report, as I said, and I was worried that it could have been a lab issue. My specialist at the time admitted it could have been a lab issue, and that just going with the same lab for this cycle didn't really sit right with me. If we have the same terrible results, I'll always wonder whether it was the lab. So going with a totally different clinic, I think, gives me more peace of mind and a little bit more hope, plus it's cheaper. So that's what we're going to do. We've got an appointment the week before Christmas. I've got an appointment and my surrogate has an appointment, so they're back-to-back appointments, so I'll go with her, and fingers crossed all goes well. We had Tim do another sperm analysis a couple of weeks ago. The sperm analysis all came back normal, but we've also done the sperm DNA fragmentation test, which is around $500 and will take a couple more weeks to get those results. So yeah, my next video will either be sharing those results with you or the Q&A, whichever comes first. I think that's all I had to share. So as I said, my appointment is a week before Christmas, which will likely cut it fine for a Jan IVF stimulated cycle. Now someone's starting to mow their lawn, so I'll leave it there. But again, if you've got any questions whatsoever about anything, please leave them down below. I do always get a lot of questions about adoption. I'm just going to say in this video, adoption isn't really a viable option for us in Australia. It's incredibly difficult. It takes a number of years to even get matched, and a lot of adoptions are sourced overseas. Plus, in those many years, you can't be trying for your own baby or doing any kind of fertility treatment. So it's definitely not for us at the moment. It might be something we consider in the future, but not right now. I hope you're all doing really well wherever you're at in your journey. Take care of yourselves, love and baby dust, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys. In the back of the schoolyard.